YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back, and today we're going to evaluate some rosters and some depth charts for the 2021 NFL season. Going to split this up in two videos, so this one will be the AFC. We'll do an NFC one with every team, of course, just so everyone has an easier time finding their team. It's not super long, but it's something I obviously do before I'm ready to make record predictions, season predictions, which are coming up here at the Goat House like we do every year. So I figured I'd record myself kind of looking at over some depth charts and my thoughts here, evaluating rosters and what to expect for the 2021 season. So hopefully everyone enjoys this. Smash the like button, subscribe if you do. More NFL content on the channel, more to come. Like I said, season predictions right around the corner. Follow our Twitter for constant updates, and you guys will actually be voting for who will win each division, who will make the playoffs, who will win each round of the playoffs, the Super Bowl. So, and then I'll create a video, something else we do every single year. So follow that Twitter, any link that you're looking for, pinned in the comments and the description section there of every video. Website we are using for this is called ourlads.com, just to get a look at the depth charts. I don't really agree with who they have starting a lot of time, but it's a really good, platform database to have all these names here. So we'll talk about my thoughts and where I think guys should be, but it's pretty cool here. Definitely a useful website. Starting with the Buffalo Bills, like I said, we'll do all the AFC teams in this video, just breaking them down really quick. I'm looking for who's got complete rosters, but you also look at some very important spots. You know, if the team is very solid at quarterback, offensive line in terms of the unit, and then in terms of the pass rush unit, those three things can actually trump a lot of times a very good roster. I mean, if you have like the Bucs last year, if you have that complete roster, you have the quarterback, you have the offensive line, you have the pass rush, you're in business. So that's kind of what I'm looking for here. And the Bills got a very complete roster here. Josh Allen, I guess there's a little bit of a question with Josh Allen still. Is he going to, because he improved big time last year, could he actually improve further? I think it's a possibility. Some people kind of believe maybe, he won't play as good as last year. I think some people maybe like that. So I guess there's still some questions to be answered, but what we do know is he's a very talented quarterback on the right track here. So I think a lot does ride on Josh Allen. A lot does, him taking care of the football because we've seen the difference in offense performance for them 2 years ago to last year. Are we going to get similar to last year? I don't see why the guy would decline or anything like that, but some people seem to believe that. But a lot does ride on him. I like what they did with the offensive line this offseason, that really they kept it together, bringing Darrell Williams back, Feliciano's back, Cody Ford's back off injury. They didn't have to re-sign him, obviously. The offensive line's complete there. It's pretty damn complete. So you have the quarterback, you have the offensive line, looking for that big three. Pass rush, look at the defense. They're pretty deep, I'd say. They got a lot of notable names, a lot of solid players, but do they have that takeover? Do they have a takeover unit? Do they have a takeover player? No, but maybe they can. I like the way they drafted. They had Russo and they had Carlos Basham Jr. And remember, Epinesa from last year could step up as well. Just concerns about the quickness and speed with him, but definitely a technician, a powerful pass rush. Feels like the Buffalo Bills have a type when it comes to their edge rushers. But yeah, maybe one of those guys takes over at a young age there. Looking forward to see if Ed Oliver can step up, because maybe a little disappointing last year, underwhelming, but not really in a way, because remember, he played out of position at Houston, played nose tackle. Bills put him at the right spot. You have to expect it's going to take a little bit of time. Maybe now's the time. So the D-line, Hughes got pressure last year, just couldn't get to the quarterback. Addison's kind of declining. They need somebody that actually can get to the quarterback and bring the quarterback down, and then they're a legit, they're already a contender, but they are scary then if that's the case. Overall, complete defense. Love the linebacker unit. Scary that Edmonds can continue to improve. I like this depth chart they have. I think is actually very accurate, kind of going back to the offense. Beasley's the slot. Diggs, maybe Emmanuel Sanders. I wouldn't mind starting with Davis. I wouldn't mind having Gabriel. It looked like they found a hidden gem there. If he got more snaps than Emmanuel Sanders, surprisingly, maybe that might surprise some. Sanders has some injury concern. Limit him. Use him for the home run ball. Use him to stretch the field out. Running back is actually pretty similar to their pass rush. They got a number of names, but do they have that takeover guy? A little disappointing with the group last year. I know Moss was only a rookie. These guys just need to hit the hole. A lot of bouncing around the backfield, but they're solid backs. They had Breida as well. If they got a legit, running back, this offense would be even better. But for the most part, they're pretty damn complete. I'd imagine they could actually sign a veteran corner to maybe replace Levi Wallace, but I do think this depth chart is actually right on. Lutule could, since he's back, that's good. He could start over Butler. It's a possibility, or do they go him and both these guys? And I don't think they'll put Ed Oliver on the bench. Harrison Phillips, good rotation. Justin Zimmer was very solid last year, kind of a small name, no-name guy, really stepping it up. So very complete roster. They're not weak at running back, but could get better. They need somebody they got good names on the defensive line, and they could stand out more than expected. They need somebody that's just going to consistently get to the quarterback. They don't really need to go sign a veteran corner. That's really not going to make or break their team. I think Levi Wallace is good enough. They got some studs everywhere else. The pass rush will make or break the team a little more. But we see why this is considered a contender. They're good in the right spots. Playmakers, quarterback, offensive line, pass rush could be better. Looking forward to seeing Diggs-Josh Allen connection in year 2 there. It was fantastic last year. Going to the Dolphins, taking a look at the Dolphins. Start with the offense. There's some things I disagree with the depth chart on the defense, it looks like. But the offense, we expect it to be better. Tua, I don't think you can base a lot off last year with Tua. I think it's going to look like a whole different offense. Tua's second year, another year maybe healthier, I guess running back's a little bit of a pretty big question. I guess that's somewhat of a hole there. I mean, they got some guys that can play, don't get me wrong, but thought they would upgrade a little more there. I guess the offensive line is a little bit of a question too. Austin Jackson, honestly, was a little better than I expected, but that was not saying much. He wasn't that good last year, but better than I expected in his rookie year. Eichenberg, they have listed at guard. If we see him get reps in training camp at guard, doesn't really mean a whole lot. I see that all the time. I kind of thought the plan would be put Eichenberg at right tackle, put Hunt at guard, Kinley at guard, and then keep Jackson left tackle, Skura at center still. So that was kind of my thinking on what they would do with the offensive line. So, we'll see. Eichenberg has a potential to play guard. Kind of think that's the route they go, though. I'd say Jackson, Kinley, Skura, and then Robert Hunt, who I actually graded as a guard out of Louisiana last year. I think he could really be. They do have Fluker as well. So they got some pretty good depth. They do have Fluker for guard. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. There's going to be some competition, I think, there. But they do like Solomon Kinley, the rookie of last year from Georgia as well. So there's going to be a battle at guard, unless they keep Robert Hunt at tackle. But then there's still a battle. Eichenberg to play guard. Is Austin Jackson's job in jeopardy? I don't think so. But, yeah, so I guess some question marks to the offensive line. It played a little better than expected early last year, but that always happens. I said that before the year last year. Offensive lines all look pretty decent early on. Over time, they show their true colors. So that could be what hurts this team, really, is the offense. I like what they did with the receiver unit. They brought in Will Fuller. It felt like he was getting better as long as he's healthy. He can be suspended for a couple games there. They bring in Jalen Waddle. So that bumps Preston Williams back to kind of rotation guy, which is a really good rotation guy. And they got Robert Foster. That's a really good rotation guy to see if Bowden steps up this year. They got some solid guys there. So the receiver unit's looking a lot better, and it kind of fits more of Tua ball here. And like where they're at tight end as well. Looking at the defense, they have them listed as kind of a 3-4, it looks like here. And Brian Flores kind of played a hybrid style defense. I think they're going to look more like a 4-3, more like a 4-2-5, really. But in terms of their defensive line, you couldn't really they didn't really have a true identity. What are they last year? I think they're going to look more like, let's see. Trying to pull up my notes here. I think they're going to go, somewhat like, we see this. Yes. D end. They go Ugba. I got caps lock on. Ugba and then D tackle. I think these guys are pretty interchangeable, down here. You go Wilkins and then, I don't know if Raekwon Davis or Christian Wilkins are, to me, they're defensive tackles, but they can play nose if they need to. So those guys are pretty interchangeable. And I love the Jalen Phillips pick. So I think this is what the defense will probably look like. And most of the time, you'll see two linebackers. Keep doing that. I think most of the time you'll see two linebackers. So you got Jerome Baker, and then you have Benardrick McKinney, who they traded for from the Texans. And you'll see a nickel, of course. I think that's, I guess, a battle, too, because they brought in Justin Coleman. I think the slot corner would be Coleman. And then I'm just going to say, the corners are pretty obvious. Byron Jones and then Xavier Howard, who played like one of the best cornerbacks in football last year. And the safeties will be Eric Rowe, and they drafted Javon Holland from Oregon. So I think that's what the defense will look like. I think that's right there. Hopefully everyone can see that. All right, pulling up the notes section. So I think we're going to see more of a, base could be 4-3. The defensive line will look more like a 4-3, your typical 4-3 defense. I'm thinking when they have three linebackers out there, they got a pretty good variety. They did bring back Landon Roberts. He played quite a bit last year. They brought in Duke Riley. They got a couple guys out there. I like the Benardrick McKinney addition. They drafted Noah Igbinoghene a year ago for slot corner, but they're not afraid to get better here. They bring in Justin Coleman here. So I know Holland could play free, strong. He could play in a slot. I like what they did with this defense, because last year they were kind of known as one of the better defenses in football. I think that was because of the impact plays, being clutch, getting those turnovers at the right points of the game. And that was fantastic. Usually those teams, it's very hard for them to repeat that, and they kind of go downhill, and everyone's like, how did that happen? But that's why. But I like what they did here. They got better, so there's no gap there. I love adding Jalen Phillips. I like their defensive line depth as well behind those guys. Those guys might not necessarily be their starters. They bring in, they have Adam Butler, Strobridge from last year's draft, John Jenkins. So they had McKinney on defense. They had Holland, Coleman, like we talked about. So they're keeping it fresh here. So I really like this defense. It's pretty damn complete defense. Let's see. I suppose. A lot rides on a guy like Emmanuel Ogbah. Last year kind of broke out. Can he continue that, or is he going to go back to being a little underwhelming? If he continues what he played last year, going to help Jalen Phillips. Phillips going to help him, and that could be the deciding factor of this defense. The pass rush. So I like this defense a lot. Pretty good defense. Offensive line could be. I'm not really too worried about Tua. Really, some people seem to be. Offensive line in the running game. I think that's what hurt Tua a little bit last year, too. There was no running game, so everyone's like, all right, they're passing. Defense becomes a lot easier when it's not a guessing game anymore, when you know what's going to happen. So running game, offensive line is what could hurt this team. Patriots, they got a lot of opt-outs back, and they add a ton of players in free agency. See, I think Mac Jones is going to start. I think he should start. I think Cam Newton is going to play on short yardage, goal line perhaps. Love the offensive line. They had Trent Brown back. Former Patriot, was with the Raiders last year. Shaq Mason, fantastic guard. David Andrews, fantastic center. Onwenu, they got a hidden gem from Michigan in the draft last year. A stud of a guard that can play tackle. And they have Isaiah Wynn. So I guess Wynn maybe stepping up, I guess is the one thing there, But I like that they can move around. If they need to move a Wenwu to tackle, it's pretty easy for them to – they got two stud centers, could one fill in at guard. But they're going to be very good. This is one of the better offensive lines of football, in my opinion. Receivers, they made them better. I think that's the talk is – did they overpay Nelson Aguilar? At this point of the offseason, going into the season, it really doesn't matter. You just got to perform. Pretty damn good season. It looked like he actually got a lot better last year. So Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, who it seemed like he's improving his footwork, his route running ability. Jacoby Myers has been fantastic. I still think Harry's got some talent in him. We'll see what they do with him. Receiver unit could be better, but it did get better at the same time. Love the running back group. You can put a number of these guys. Look at the long list of running backs. Sony Michel, who performed at a high level that Super Bowl year in the playoffs. Let's see if he can get back to it. But they, feel good about Damian Harris. Ramondre Stevenson was my number 5 back in the class. I love his game. They're set at running back for sure. They're set at tight end. Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, it's the best tight end duo in football. So it just depends on the quarterback play there. But, Mac Jones set up with some good talent. He's got a good offensive line. He's got some weapons there that can run the ball first. Looking at the defense, they had Judon there that fits their defense. And they got Kyle Van Noy back. There's another hybrid defense. They'll give different looks. It's the only team that I like kind of Belichick defense doing, kind of running that hybrid. Other teams try to replicate it, and it just never works. But they just got so much depth here. The actual defensive line, right here, I can't really highlight it. It could be better. They got some, they did add Christian Barmore. Is he going to be an instant impact guy? It's a pretty good team, more you look at it, because the defensive line was kind of the question, but it's definitely good enough around this pass rush. Van Noy, more of an off-the-ball guy that can rush. Judon, Winovich being the pass rushers. They got some Anthony Jennings, Uche. They got some good rotation guys there. They add Godchaw from Miami. He's going to play nose tackle. Linebackers, they get Dante Hightower back. I think Uche can play some off the ball. McMillan they have as well. Bentley. Cornerback duo is fantastic. Safeties they'll play just fine. Kyle Duggar, see if he steps up. Solid under the radar draft pick from a year ago. See if Joanne Williams can step up. I actually liked him coming out of college a little bit. We'll see if he can finally step up. But and then Jonathan Jones, I think, is one of the better slot corners in football. This is a really good roster. I mean, this is a damn good roster right here. And Patriots are kind of under the radar right now because they didn't make playoffs last year. And people are kind of questioning their quarterback. But the weapons are a lot better. The offensive line is one of the best, maybe the best in football. It's a damn good roster here in New England. It's a very complete roster, so watch out for those Patriots again. Moving on to the Jets. Jets definitely got better. Excited to see what Zach Wilson's got for us. Running back, they don't have that standout guy, but they got a pretty good rotational group. Michael Carter's a heck of a pick. I think we could see Tevin Coleman honestly starting maybe week 1. Kind of my take, but who knows, really. I don't think it's going to make or break the team. Offensive line, hopefully Becton stays on the right track. They add Elijah Vera-Tucker, McGovern at center. I'm good with Van Roten there at guard. I guess right tackle's a little bit of question. George Fant, actually maybe a little better than expected, but not saying a whole bunch there. So I guess that's the question. Is Mekhi Becton still going to have some growing pains? Didn't really have too much of it last year. Receiver unit goes from maybe mediocre a couple years ago to now it's looking fantastic. Corey Davis had a breakout year, so he's on the right path. I like Denzel Mims' pick. Elijah Moore was an absolute steal. They have Crowder as well. They have Keelan Cole. This receiver unit's looking pretty deep. They're looking pretty good there. They got some weapons for Zach Wilson. So I guess the question is the offensive line. Question's the offensive line where it definitely got better, but where's it going to be at? It could have some growing pains there. Running back, they could get. They're going to pass the ball a ton. It's good that they got Carter who can catch the ball out of the backfield pretty high level. Defense, Robert Saleh is going to run more of his Leo defense that he ran with the 49ers. It's basically one defensive end's more of your typical hand in the dirt 4-3 defensive end, and the other side it's more of a tweener type guy that's could play the outside linebacker, edge rusher role, drop in coverage, or put his hand in the dirt and rush. I think Carl Lawson's going to be kind of that Nick Bosa role for Robert Saleh on his defense. And they're probably still looking for that other side. They probably could use. I'm trying to think who actually going to start on the other side. That's kind of a hole there. It actually could look like more of a 4-3 defense to start. I think they're still looking to fill that role, to be honest. It could be Carl Lawson and Vinny Curry out there. It could be, they may roll out there. Quinnen Williams could play all over the defensive line. We saw a lot of that at Alabama. I'm excited about Quinnen Williams in Salah's defense because they're going to use him. remember how Saleh used Arik Armstead with the 49ers, how he used him at D end, used him at D tackle. But Quinn Williams could play nose tackle if you need him to as well. So I think that pass rush production is really going to come from Lawson and Quinn Williams. I'm excited. I'm excited about that. I'm excited. So they had Sheldon Rankins on the inside. He's very solid, just staying healthy. That's kind of the big question there. But they could look to add a little, like we've been talking about, some edge rush. See what they do with the linebacker position. Jared Davis was a sneaky signing. He was showing flashes on why he was a first-round pick with the Lions. I just think a poorly coached team over there, so you can get a lot more out of him. Mosley to cover the inside. Do we see Cashman? Do we see somebody kind of take over that Fred Warner type role, that coverage linebacker? It could be Nasir Ladine. It could be Sherwood. Between one of those guys, we may actually see a little more from in terms of that coverage outside linebacker role than expected. And then they could get better at corner as well. A lot of young guys. Blayshawn Austin and Bryce Hall, I'd say, are probably the starters. They did draft some. Michael Carter, the corner, Michael Carter will probably play slot. He actually could start in the slot. They're set at safety. They had LaMarcus Joyner as well, who could play in the slot, actually. Could play safety. We'll see where they play him, so maybe he starts in the slot. I'd say, yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, they probably start LaMarcus Joyner in the slot. Ashton Davis loved that pick last year. Marcus May had a fantastic year last year, so those would probably be your safety duo. So they got some pieces here and there, but offensive line's a little bit of a question. Maybe running game, pass rush outside of Lawson, Williams, and corner back there. Definitely corner they can improve. So young team, they could be sneaky. We'll see where they end up, though. Ravens, Ravens well known as one of the better teams in the AFC, of course. Lamar, they're set at quarterback. Offensive line took a step down last year. You got Stanley, Bozy, Ben Cleveland could actually compete for a spot there. I think it's a really good fit, but I'd say he probably doesn't start. I think Ben Powers, they got some depth. Tyree Phillips, they got some depth. Phillips can play tackle or guard. They got some depth. I'd say the way they have it is probably how it plays out as starters there. Just got to stay healthy. Ronnie Stanley out there. Receivers, they make them better. They add Rashad Bateman. They add Tylan Wallace. I know a lot of fans were saying they, didn't think they needed a receiver as much as some others out there thought because they had Duvernay and Prochet, but I like what the Ravens did. I agree with the Ravens did. They went out and added a receiver. You can't be afraid to get better there. They had Rashad Bateman. They had Tylan Wallace. It's fantastic. And they added Sammy Watkins for free agency. Hopefully he can stay healthy, but I think we'll see Bateman starting for sure. Whether it's with Watkins or Brown there, I definitely think we'll see him starting. And then looking at the defensive line's always solid. It is kind of an aging group, though. Wolf, Williams, Campbell. It's a pretty old group, but they're still going to play at a high level. Matabuke, we'll see if he can step up. And then you look at the linebackers. We'll see if Malik Harrison steps up, rookie from last year. Patrick Queen kind of holding down the inside. Pass rush. No Ngakoue anymore. No Judon anymore. Pernell McPhee, pretty important to them. Just not going to get a whole lot of production. Tyus Bowser's very good at dropping in coverage, which is important for this Ravens 3-4 defense. And they're going to blitz the inside linebackers quite a bit. A lot of cover zero, and the pass rushers were dropping coverage then. So I like Bowser where he's heading. Jason Away or Odafe Away, what he wants to go by. I think he's going to be more productive than he was in college. I think that's a good pick. We can't really expect a whole lot right away. Dalen Hayes, I think, is a plug-and-play fit, to be honest. That could be a sneaky guy in terms of playing early on. See if Jalen Ferguson finally steps up. Corners are set. They got, maybe the best duo in football. Safety, it fits what they want to run. Chuck Clark, Deshaun Elliott, both can come up, play in the box. Elliott can play in the back end. Tavon Young, solid nickel corner if he stays healthy, but Sean Wade, they drafted as well. Pretty complete roster. Another one of those teams, though, that offensive line's a little bit of a question. They improved at receiver, like the running back unit as always. Will the age of the defensive line show? Will the pass rush take a hit? Will there be kind of growing pains there with the young guys? Because Tyus Bowser is still getting better as an actual pass rusher away. I guess maybe a little more questions than the past, now that you really think about it here. But, yeah. Well, it's really a lot of these teams is on the offensive line here. To the Bengals, they had Jamar Chase. I love this receiver trio here. They don't have the best depth after that though. So we'll see if it stays healthy. I do love the receiver trio. In my opinion, Tyler Boyd is probably the best slot receiver in football. I know people will have, so there's a lot of top tier receivers that will also play in the slot. I'm talking about guys that get like majority reps in the slot. To me, Tyler Boyd is just fantastic, and he fits a Joe Burrow type ball there, Joe Burrow ball. It's kind of his Justin Jefferson there. So I love me some Tyler Boyd, love me some Jamar Chase. He's basically got his Chase and his Jefferson there together, but in the form of Boyd there, which is fantastic, known as the better slot receiver in football. And T. Higgins was fantastic last year. That's just, another outside receiver for him. And yeah, it kind of says, I think it's saying the slot is T, which that's wrong. It's Tyler Boyd. Auden Tate's pretty solid outside rotation, but I think they brought in Trent Taylor now, but they could use some more depth. But that's a damn good trio. Offensive line, there's always some talk that Jonah Williams can move into guard, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. The offensive line's the question here. Jackson Carman, there's talk about him playing guard. Maybe he steps up and starts at left tackle, and they do move Jonah Williams to guard. That's a possibility as well. Maybe Carman starts at guard. So there's going to be some camp battles. I do think it'll be better than it was in the past. You have Reef at right tackle, full season with Quentin Spain. Quentin Spain's pretty solid, underrated guard. So the offensive line could be better. It should be better. Is it going to be a lot better? That's kind of the question there. Tight end group could be a little better. I'd actually watch out for O'Grady. I liked his tape out of Arkansas. Not this year, of course. He was in the draft a year ago. He's had some off-the-field issues. I think he kind of fits this high-powered passing offense. That's the guy to look out for there. Burrow, hopefully healthy. Mixon, hopefully they're able to get him going. That's the thing. If they can run block better, and they can run the ball better. If you run the ball better, that opens up for the passing game, keeps defense on their toes. So it's going to start with that. I like the Chris Evans pick. I think that's a good Gio Bernard replacement. Offense, I think can be better than people think. I think it's going to be better than people think there. Looking at the defense, they lost Carl Lawson. They lost some guys, so we'll see who starts. They got a unique defense as well. You could at times see them almost on a 4-3 look with Trey Hendrickson at defensive end and Sam Hubbard at defensive end and Reeder and Ogunjobi at the D tackle positions. There could be times where it could look like a 3-4 where Sam Hubbard's still a defensive end and Hendrickson's probably still a defensive end, and they have DJ Reeder in the middle. And then you got rushing off the outside, maybe Osai and Akeem Davis-Gaither and Jermaine Pratt have some experience rushing, more of blitzers, but they can get creative, different looks. I'm not really a huge fan of building a hybrid defense because it feels like you're drafting the most versatile guys instead of just the best players. That's kind of the route they go. I do like some of the players they have, but I'm not a big, it's cool. You give different looks. You throw off the offense. Again, that's, the fact that Sam Hubbard can play 3-4 or 4-3 probably Trey Hendrickson as well. There's some good things there. It's just you end up getting more versatile players rather than just acquiring the best players. I do like the Cam Sample pick. Khalid Kareem there, I was damn good at Notre Dame. We'll see if he steps up there as a defensive end. I think we'll see more of a 4-3 look. Osai, though, kind of uses a hybrid probably. Rushing off the edge, stand up, blitz. Most of his production came on stunts, which, really is the same thing as a linebacker blitzing. He was a former off-the-ball linebacker, so I think they'll use him in those ways there. Young linebacker group, see if they step up. I mean, it's just you see what the Buccaneers did. They kept drafting young players, getting young players, and they had one of the worst defenses in football for a long time. And then those guys developed. They finally developed, and then around the veterans, and boom, one of the best defense football, win the Super Bowl. Not saying it's going to happen to the Bengals, but I'm saying that could just happen just like that because they got a lot of young guys that are kind of on the verge of stepping up and, developing, progressing. So, look, I liked Trey Waynes, like that addition last year. See if he's good to go. I mean, he's supposed to be. We'll see if he's normal. Jesse Bates, to me, is one of the better free safeties in football. Love his game. Von Bell, that's a pretty good duo. We'll see who starts at corner. Waynes, and it could be. Is Awuzie listed here? Yeah, he is. They have Waynes listed as nickel. That's not right. Awuzie's experience there. Phillips has experience. No, Mike Hilton's going to play in the nickel. What am I talking about? No, Mike Hilton. I like that addition. Mike Hilton's a very good blitzing slot corner as well. I actually think I think the Bengals are going to blitz a ton this year. I think they're going to blitz a ton. They're going to blitz Osai if he's not a pure edge rusher. They blitz Pratt, Davis Gaither, and then Mike Hilton there. But I think he's going to be in the slot. I think the outside corners, Waynes, and in a battle between Phillips and Awuzie there, in my opinion. Did add Ricardo Allen, too. Good veteran presence in there. They added Eli Apple. I think just depth guy. I like the safety unit, like I said. This team could be a little sneaky. It could be a little sneaky. High-powered offense. Just got to stay healthy. Offense line's got to protect. Defense, they shouldn't really be too worried about being a hybrid defense, but they got some young guys that could really break out. They could have a number of guys at the same time break out. Looking at the Browns, one of the most complete rosters in football here. A lot rides on Baker here. Continue to step up, progress. Always a question. You have a new coach. It looks fantastic, and every time that happens, it just goes downhill after that because I think he gets figured out. Will that be the case here? That's what everybody's wondering. I don't see why it would be. I think they can. Stefanski's a good coach. I think they can continue to play ball here. They have the personnel. They have the pieces to play their game. West Coast style offense. A lot of play action. Pound the football first. Play action. Open up the pass. Hit that dagger. Baker could hit that dagger with his legs too. Odell's got to stay healthy. Good receiver group there, but you're not going to see a whole bunch of receivers in the field at the same time for them, so that's plenty of depth that they got there. Offensive line's fantastic. It was even good when the guys were getting injured, like the James Hudson pick. He can fill in at tackle or guard. And then you look at the tight ends, looking pretty solid. Harrison Bryant could step up, running back. Best duo in football, perhaps. You had Demetric Felton, who can play running back or receiver. There isn't a hole on this offense. There just really isn't a hole. It's just how it's Baker. How well will Baker play? That's kind of what would decide how high the offense can go, And look at the defense. Myles Garrett, one of the best pass rushers in football. Opposite him is Clowney's got to stay healthy. McKinley could be a solid rotation guy as well. Interior, that's kind of it feels like they're missing something. It feels like they're missing, I don't know, maybe a Sheldon Richardson type player who they had and they cut. I'm not a fan of that. I love this roster. It's definitely a Super Bowl contender in my opinion. Look at this roster. It just really feels like they're missing that. Jordan Elliott, like that pick last year, that's big time right there. If he could step up. Andrew Billings, didn't get to see him last year. Solid nose tackle. They do have Malik Jackson. I'm not a big Malik Jackson guy. Got to limit him a bit. Marvin Wilson, love that steal of a pickup in undrafted free agency. So maybe these guys can step up. Sheldon Day, maybe these guys can, one of these young guys like Jordan Elliott can step up. A lot's gonna ride on that, I suppose, as well. Linebacker unit, they add Anthony Walker. I think we'll see. I wouldn't agree with what they got starting here. I think we'll see Mac Wilson and Anthony Walker start at the same time. And we'll see a lot of that nickel package there. I think we'll see Mac Wilson and Anthony Walker on the field a ton with Denzel Ward outside. I would go Greg Newsome outside and then Troy Hill in the slot. And then we got Jeremiah Wusu-Karamoa too. I think you could start Jeremiah Wusu-Karamoa in there. That's a big-time draft pick. That's why it's tough with the Browns defense. They almost got too much here because if they're going to run they're going to run a lot of nickel, and who's that take off the field? Owusu Karamoa can play linebacker or slot in, any look. So that's tough. John Johnson, and I'd say Ronnie Harrison starts. So, yeah, I don't know if this is going to be interesting here what the Browns do. I don't think I agree with what they have here. I think, I guess Cam Battle, see if Owusu Karamoa can step in. The good thing is they got depth. I like Troy Hill in the slot. Can play it. Maybe Greg Newsome doesn't play a whole lot right away. Maybe it's Troy Hill, Ward outside. Owusu Karamoa plays in the slot. You'll see looks with Johnson and Harrison, and you see looks with Delpit out there. So they got really good depth, really good secondary. I sometimes that affects the defense in a bad way, though. You just trying to do too much, trying to have this out there at this time, and it maybe backfires on you. So, I don't know. I love this roster. It's a Super Bowl-looking roster. Can they get the job done, though? It's a damn complete roster. You look at quarterback, offensive line, pass rush, and then they got all three. Myles Garrett's got to stay healthy. That's the thing, though. Is it relying on Myles Garrett, putting the pass rush on his back, though? Is that a question there? So we'll see what happens. Some question marks with the Browns, but that's a talented roster. Steelers, I feel like the roster isn't as good as last year. Love the receiver unit still. Deontay Johnson's got to catch the damn ball. Love Chase Claypool to see where he goes this year. Offensive line's looking rough. It's looking rough. DeCastro is the best piece there. He's not the same as what he once was, but he's still a solid piece. But you're usually as good as your unit. Okafor is more of a right tackle. Struggled there. This offensive line might be a problem. Some of these rookies might have to start. Dan Moore can play tackle or play guard. Kendrick Green can play center, play guard. So we love the versatility there. I knew it was kind of rough, but actually looking at it like this, that might be the worst offensive line in football this year, and that's kind of going to be a problem for the running game. A problem for Big Ben. So that's not good. What good is having that receiver unit? If maybe some of these young guys step up right off the bat and they're that good. Battle at center between these three, and I think Green could start. I do like him better at guard, though. I like Green better at guard. But guard might be okay with DeCastro and Dotson. I know a lot of the fans like the Dotson, the idea of him. You get more from Kendrick Green at guard, though. He's so good at kind of pulling and getting downfield, with the running back. It's a rough situation. Defense, Mike Tomlin's defense will be very solid still. Love this defensive front right here. Pretty solid rotation as well, but these three in their 3-4 defense. It's going to be TJ Watt and most likely Alex Highsmith. They're going to miss Bud Dupree. They tried to sign Ryan Kerrigan, we heard, so they're looking for a guy to kind of help out there because Highsmith's a solid young talent. No guarantees there. He got pressure, didn't produce a whole lot. So you honestly could get better. Ideal that Highsmith is a kind of premium rotation guy. So they are going to miss Bud Dupree. But there's still a very solid defense to get Devin Bush back. I think Robert Spillane, the way he looked when he had to fill in, at the inside linebacker position, he looked really good. So I think we'll see more of Bush and Spillane. Perhaps. Could see Vince Williams as a captain. It's a good group, though. Good group. Corners a pretty big question. I would imagine they try to add a veteran because Justin Lane, I don't see him as a starter, but right now he'd probably be the starter. If Mark Gilbert's healthy, the Duke rookie, he can play. He can play. But it'll be ideal for them to add another corner. Joe Hayden's declining a little bit, but they need somebody opposite of him. Safety group, Terrell Edmonds been extremely disappointing. Does somebody step up for him? But Minkah Fitzpatrick, love his game, of course. I'm fine with. They lost Mike Hilton. It's a big piece, but I think Sutton can play in the slot pretty well. Right now it actually could be Sutton outside. He's very, very versatile defensive back. It's tough. I like where they put their priorities, though. They put their priorities on what's more important, the actual pass rush. What the defensive line, the stout defensive line, TJ Watt. Some of these guys can blitz as well. And you don't need the best corners if that, part of the defense is very good. So what will they value? Adding another edge rusher to make that even better, to kind of put a Band-Aid over maybe the missing corner, or they add a corner. If they can add both, that'd be fantastic. We'll see, but Yeah, it's tough. I really worry about the offensive line here. Yeah. I don't know if you're going to get the most out of your talent, Big Ben, Najee Harris, and those receivers, because of that offensive line. So that's pretty tough. It'll be interesting to see um, how different the Steelers look. We'll take a look at the other. We're halfway done. It's a long video. Good thing I split up AFC and NFC here. Looking at the Texans. Tough evaluation. I mean, we don't know if Deshaun Watson's going to be playing. It kind of feels like not because they signed Tyrod Taylor. They trade for Ryan Finley. They draft Davis Mills with their first draft pick. So I don't really feel like Deshaun Watson's going to be ready, but we will see. Sounds like things could be getting cleared up sooner rather than later. I don't know for sure, though. I'm just a football guy. I'm not getting into the all the legal stuff there. Receivers, losing Will Fuller is very tough. So I think it's a pretty rough receiver unit, to be honest. I mean, they got depth. It's just a lot riding on Brandon Cooks there. I don't know if Cobb has too much anymore. A lot riding on a rookie playing at a high level, Nico Collins. Offensive line. I thought the offensive line would really step up last year. It really didn't. I think it could step up this year, though. Marcus Cannon, they add Titus Howard. Those guys are pretty interchangeable there. Cannon and Howard, they both have experience playing guard and tackle. This is probably the route they go, but I can see that flipped as well, and I wouldn't really have a problem with it. They did bring in Lane Taylor. Does he play center? Sharping, does he replace Sharping? Some questions there, but the offensive line's looking a little more complete, so that's good. Are they going to be protecting for Deshaun Watson? No. Defense, they're missing speed on defense, in my opinion, especially pass rush. This is an old-school Lovie Smith defense. Especially pass rush. Omenu's going to play more of an edge rush position, which I'm fine with. And it's going to be, where is Shaq Lawson at? Am I blind? Oh, he's right here. Jack? No, Shaq Lawson's not playing the Jack position. It's definitely kind of up in the air on what they kind of run. Whitney Merciless doesn't really fit Lovie Smith's defense. They try to trade him and they end up working on a restructure. But will he play a little off the ball? He could possibly play a little off the ball. It's going to be... They got it listed more of a 4-3. We can pull the notes back up. We did this for the Dolphins here. So let's get rid of the Dolphins guys. They're gonna Lovie Smith runs more of a 4-3. We've seen the Texans run a 3-4 for so long. It's gonna be more of a 4-3. They'll probably run. They signed so many linebackers. So do they run more of a 4-2-5 with the nickel? That's very possible, like we had with the Dolphins. But I think it's going to be Lawson out here, which I'm not in love with. I view Lawson as more of an interior guy. Omenihu, I spelled it wrong. Oh my God, Omenihu. There we go. Nose tackle is I don't know if they really have a true nose tackle. Brandon Dunn can play there. Are they? I don't really love Blacklock at nose tackle, but I heard they could be going more that direction. I can't even spell. Blacklock, and then we got Collins possibly starts. Did they start Dunn in there? They add DeMarcus Walker. Walker could be more of a defensive end in this scheme. Jaleel Johnson, more of a rotation guy. It probably looks something like that. The actual defensive line. Linebacker, well, definitely Cunningham. Kirksey? They added a long list of linebackers. They had Kevin Pierre-Louis. What's their defensive backs looking like? It's a little bit of a mess over there. See, if they start in a 4-3, it's probably going to be something along the lines of this. They added a lot of linebackers. Kind of just looking through the linebackers they added. Rougier Hill probably looks like that. And then you look at corners, which they're kind of on the weaker side. Change my mind. Bringing the slot back. I think we'll mostly see. I I do like it's not spelled like that. I do like the addition of Des King in the slot. Lonnie Johnson's been going between corner and safety. Roby at corner, and then definitely Justin Reed at safety. It just depends on if they view the new staff. Are they going to view Lonnie Johnson Jr. at corner, at safety? Hargraves better in the slot, but they start him outside. It's very possible they could start him outside. Add Terrence Mitchell. They'd probably go. It's probably going to look something along the lines like that. That being Lonnie Johnson Jr. If they like, it just depends on what they like him at. And I felt like they were kind of moving him more towards a safety type player, be able to cover tight ends in the slot, kind of like a box type guy. But it's a whole different staff, so we'll see. So that's probably what they're looking like there. And how do I get rid of this? There we go. I'm struggling. And it could be a rough year for the Texans just because, I mean, it's weird because do they really have any holes where, okay, that's bad, right? I mean, the corner probably, but I guess they don't have a bunch of holes. They just could get better pretty much anywhere. If Deshaun Watson plays, then they can compete. It's that simple. Colts are next. Looking at the offense, really evaluating this roster is not going to matter a whole bunch. It's just gonna rely on Carson Wentz, which Carson Wentz is going to show up. The one last year, the one we saw most recently, is just not going to cut it. There's a reason the Eagles trade him. They didn't believe that he could step up. So we'll see if the Colts, Frank Reich, could get it out of him. So it's really going to ride on that. Offensive line's fantastic. They had Eric Fisher. Hopefully he's healthy, but they got some pretty good depth. It's not ideal for Tevy or Davenport to be starting, but I think that's very solid depth. Receiver unit, they got a pretty deep unit. They just don't have. Do they have that take over guy that some of these, that the other AFC contenders have, the Chiefs, the Bills, etc. They don't really have that, but they do. They got a number of guys. Michael Pittman was impressive in rookie year. Hilton stayed healthy for the most part last year, but he got the third most snaps from the receivers. Pascal actually got more snaps. They like him blocking quite a bit. And then you got, where's Paris Campbell? He's right here. Paris Campbell, healthy. Definitely a weapon. They got some pretty good depth. They added some young guys. They added Patman last year, Strachan this year. I feel like a team that doesn't really need another receiver because they got a long list of guys. I just think they need that takeover guy that they really missed in that Bills game, I thought. A lot was on Michael Pittman, a rookie receiver, for him to kind of carry that group. I think that if they had kind of that big-time playmaker receiver, they would have won that game against the Bills, and who knows what they would have done after that. That was what a first-year quarterback in their system. Looking at the offensive line's fantastic. Running back group's fantastic. Remember how much they liked Marlon Mack and how good he was. So, who knows? We could be going out there week one and Mack could actually be the starter, but they're going to give Taylor a lot of reps. He started to pick it up. He was very disappointing early in the year. He started to pick it up, as it went on. Naheem Hines felt like their best weapon though for the most part last year, so I do like his game. It's all on Wentz. That's what it is. It's all on Wentz. If Wentz plays well, it's going to be a good offense. If Wentz doesn't play well, it's not going to be a good offense. So that's just pretty much what it is there. Looking at defense, I guess the question on who's going to start opposite of Kwity Paye, I say it's probably Kamoko Toure. Tyquan Lewis kind of came out of Ohio State as a defensive end. They were trying to move him around a bit. It didn't really work out. They drafted Deo Odengbo, who I like, but it's probably a future pick there. He did tear his Achilles early offseason. But I like the future. I like the future of Paye and Odengbo there. That's fantastic. But it's probably going to be Paye and Toure, and that's a little scary because Kwity Paye was a little underwhelming in terms of the production category. Will he get that in year one? You can't really fully expect him to. I got a good feeling he's going to play well with this group, but you can't really have those expectations, for sure. You can't say he's going to, do this, that, because he was lacking a little bit in the production category. He's going to play some good football. He's going to stop the run. I got confidence with him. I got a good feeling about him, but there's a chance that this pass rush unit just does not succeed. It's kind of on DeForest Buckner, who I love there on the inside. Grover Stewart's a solid nose tackle. He's going to stop the run. Woods, pretty much the same thing there. There's just not a lot of pressure. Quarterback, you get it with Buckner. Can they get after the quarterback as much as other, top-tier teams? So that's kind of a question. Just like the quarterback, you have the elite offensive line, but the question mark is the quarterback and then the actual pass rush, even though you do got some studs. Linebacker, they're going to run with two for the most part. Going to be Darius Leonard, one of the best in football, and Bobby Okereke. You're going to see them with two linebackers in the field a ton, and because they're going to run their slot corner. Kenny Moore is one of the better slot corners in football, so they'll roll with him. He could even play outside, which is fantastic. So you could even see Rhodes and Kenny Moore outside and TJ Carey on the inside. I think what their goal, we saw Isaiah Rodgers play a bit last year, but I think what their goal, what they want is Xavier Rhodes, Rock Ya-Sin on the outside, Kenny Moore on the inside. I think Rock Ya-Sin, I think the fans, that's one of those players the fans get on a bit, a little disappointing at times. I think he could step up. What I worry about, though, if they're not getting consistent pressure, the cornerbacks' jobs are going to be a lot harder this year. They ran a lot of cover 2 last year. Will they repeat that? So some teams started to figure it out as the year went on, the good quarterbacks. Like the safety group, I don't think George Odom is going to start. I think you'll see Blackman and Kahari Willis out there for the most part. I do like the Sean Davis pick. They got 2 Sean Davis. That's right. I like the Sean Davis rookie from Florida. He can play free or strong. I like him a little better at free, so watch out for him. Maybe getting some reps early on. I do like his game. It's a tough team. It's a tough team because overall it's a pretty good roster. It's the quarterback and the edge rush. Will they perform? Will they perform consistently? That's what's going to decide this team. That is literally what's going to decide this team. Because what good is the offensive line, the running game, receiver, I guess not the running game, but the receivers, if Carson Wentz isn't playing well, if he's playing well, and these guys are going to look good. And the same thing, the corners, that's why pass rush is just more important than that secondary because, if the pass rush can't get after the quarterback, it's near impossible to play cornerback. So those guys aren't going to look as good, but if they're getting after the quarterback, those guys are going to look a lot better. So it's just some question marks with the Colts. Good roster, some question marks. Jags, also question marks. I think mainly with their defense. I think there's a little bit of a mystery with their offense. What kind of looks are we going to see? But that's kind of the beauty. They're going to, there's no set system. They can run pretty much any system. Teams that are playing them early in the season, like how are we going to game plan for this? We just don't know what they're going to do. So the Jags might sneak some games early that are unexpected just because of that alone. And they're pretty talented now. So I like them at quarterback, running back. I still think James Robinson's the guy. We'll see a little bit of ETN. Receiver unit, looking good. The trio, Chark, Jones, Chenault, fantastic. They got some solid depth there as well. Offensive line, it's a sneaky, solid offensive line. Nobody really, you talk about you probably shouldn't put them in the category of best offensive line, but you talk about like top 10 offensive lines, who's contending for that, more than 10 teams contending for that. I think you throw the Jaguars possibly in that conversation. It's a pretty complete offensive line. I guess some question marks. Cam Robinson, how well will he play? And then Jawan Taylor, who I liked him a lot out of Florida. I think he can step up. There's really no holes in the offensive line, though. It's a pretty complete offensive line. Offense ain't going to be a problem. Offense can be good, in my opinion. It's going to be pretty damn good. Defense, what are they going to run? There's some talk that they could run a hybrid defense. I would not agree with that because then you're just shifting guys in and out. I don't think they have the pieces for that. Then you're going for more of the versatile players rather than just the best talented players. I don't think they're built to be a hybrid defense. And the hybrid defenses don't work out unless you're Bill Belichick coaching the defense. I would like for them to run more of a 3-4 that could be just because of those pass rushers and the defensive line that they have. The problem with that, the linebackers really don't fit that. Schobert and even Jack, even though Jack's talented enough to play, he'll perform in that. Do they really fit it? In my opinion, no. So that's kind of the problem here. They have pieces that fit one defense. They have pieces that fit the other. They don't have enough to be able to run both, and they still need to improve. Need to add more to be able to run one at a high level. That's kind of my problem. It feels like they built their defense. They got it better. They add Malcolm Brown, who can play nose tackle. They add Jihad Ward, who can play 3-4 end if they need him to. Smoot, same kind of thing. And then you keep adding. Well, they missing Roy Robertson Harris. Is he even listed on here? I don't see him. Listed at linebacker. That's why I don't see him. He's not a linebacker. He's gonna play defensive end. He's gonna play defensive line. He played 3-4 end for the Chicago Bears. So they add pieces there. That's the problem. On paper, the linebackers look pretty good. You look at the names: Miles Jack, Joe Schobert, Damian Wilson. Looks pretty good. It's just, what do they fit here? They got linebackers that fit a 4-3. They got the defensive front that fit the 3-4. The hybrid's not going to work still because you can't just say hybrid and everything fixes itself. It's not how it works. You're still going to have guys that fit. You're still going to run something. Corners look good. It feels like they got 3 outside corners, but they're working Tyson Campbell in at the slot apparently. Safeties. The safety group could get better, but I do like Andre Sisco with Rashawn Jenkins. Actually a pretty sneaky safety group there. Josh Allen, I think, will be good in terms of the pass as a pass rusher. Chase Young, hopefully he steps up. Was kind of known as like a raw pass rusher last year, so it's not a big deal that he underperformed last year. We didn't see him every game anyways. I think the offense will have to carry quite a bit, and you're kind of asking a lot on a young offense, even though I think it'll be pretty damn good. I do think it'll be good. Defense will have, even though it got better, have growing pains. They're going to try to find their identity. It's still up in the air on what they'll actually do. I know it kind of came out before the draft. They'll run a bit of a hybrid. I'm going to think less of them if they're running more of a hybrid. But I think that was more said so teams don't know what they're drafting, what their angle is in the draft. So that's kind of smart. We'll see. Some question marks there. Tennessee Titans, a little bit of changes. I think their offense, they take a hit losing Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith. They do add Josh Reynolds. They do get Taylor Lewan back, the left tackle position. And they make a little bit of change at right tackle. But their defense does get a lot better. That's why the Titans are interesting, because first glance, you're like, all right, their defense was atrocious really last year. It's a lot better. It feels a lot better, especially the pass rush. Offense got worse. They get Luan back, Reynolds back. That's fantastic. That's good, but it does feel maybe a little worse. But looking at them as the regular season last year, this seems like a good thing. But then you think about what happened in the playoff game. They actually couldn't get things going on offense. Tannehill wasn't able to get the ball out. Guys weren't getting separation. It was kind of A.J. Brown had to carry. Henry couldn't get things going. So what happened there, and would that be fixed? It doesn't really feel like that game, what happened in that game, is fixed by what they did in the offseason. What happened it looks like the regular season woes are kind of fixed based on what they did in the offseason here. So kind of back and forth here with the Titans. But offense, it's going to be that same offense. They're going to, pound the football, run some play action. They'll have some success with that. Did teams are going to take a page out of Ravens' book? Did they figure out how to stop it a little bit? But they were pretty dangerous at times through the air. Again, the offensive line I think is looking pretty solid. We'll see. I guess a little bit of a battle starts at right tackle. I'm not really too worried about it though, because the rest of the group is so good. Luan, Saffold, Ben Jones, Nate Davis, that group right there, that's a damn good group right there. It's really one of the better offensive lines in football. It's just they were missing Luan last year. So I guess the right tackle is a little bit of a question. I guess tight end's a little bit of a question right now. I think they planned the draft one. It didn't really work out. So tight end's a little bit of a question. Receiver 3, a little bit of a question. It actually could be Des Fitzpatrick there. They could actually sign one still. But they'll run a lot of 2 receivers at one time. Defense definitely gets better. I like Autry, the way he fits their 3-4. Nose tackle, it's not that important of a piece of their defense, but it could get better. Simmons is a stud. And then Landry and Bud Dupree off the edge. And then Evans and Brown, but I think we'll see a little bit of David Long again. And then even Monty Rice. They're gonna bring in Monty Rice to blitz, I'm pretty sure, a bit. So it's actually a pretty good linebacker unit. There's no wow guy that stands out, but they got 4 guys that can play in their scheme there. pretty well. But I think adding Dupree makes them better, but also makes players like Landry, Autry, these pass rushers better. And then corner, they add Farley, they have Jenkins, solid group. Got to stay healthy, mainly with Farley. Safety group. I don't think this is accurate. I think it's going to be Kevin Byard and Amani Hooker most likely. And I think we'll see Elijah Moore start at the nickel spot. Breon Borders played pretty decent. But I think we'll see Molden start in the slot, and we'll see Byard and Hooker at safety. So really, I don't see any glaring holes outside of tight end and receiver 3, which receiver 3 is not going to make or break your team. But that is a hole, but it's not going to make or break your team. I think tight end is the question here. But other than that, why we see the Titans all of a sudden kind of feel like a consistently good team, and they're a pretty complete team here. They're a pretty complete team once again. But we'll see how different they are. Defense, clearly better. Offense, probably a little worse, not that by that much. That was kind of the problem with the Ravens game, though. That's kind of the question. Then the last division here, this video is way, way longer than I expected. Broncos, it's all on the quarterbacks. This is a really good roster. I keep saying it. I think it's a really good roster. Receiver unit, love me some Cortland Sutton. He's coming back. Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, Tim Patrick. I mean, we can even go past that 4, but that is a big 4 right there. That's a big 4. We could even go on to Seth Williams and company there, but that's a big 4. Running back, love me some Javonte Williams. They got Gordon, they got Freeman, they got Mike Boone. I think Mike Boone probably be their running back 3. That's a hell of a running back unit. Offensive line. Questions to right tackle. Bobby Massey's pretty solid. He's got to stay healthy, but that's kind of the question. The rest of the group is looking very solid. They got really good depth, too. I agree with what they got there, and that'll be the starters, but Quinn Miners has ability to start. Mute has ability to start, the Fresno State rookie from last year, so second-year guy, I should say. That's a good offensive line. I guess somewhat of a question at right tackle. Questions at quarterback. Drew Lock has that big playability, but this is kind of when you have a really good roster, you just don't want a guy to turn the ball over. You don't want anything that's going to cost the game. Just go out there and play ball. So that's why Bridgewater, more of the game manager type, could be the answer. Perhaps Lock could still have some upside, limited reps in his career. Offense looks good. Just the question is quarterback, really, and maybe right tackle, just maybe. I like their tight ends too. Fant, Albert O. They got weapons. Defense. Defensive line's fine. Shelby Harris, Mike Purcell, Jermon Jones. See if Jermon Jones can step up. McTelvin Agim, I think he could step up. Liked him out of Arkansas last year. Watch out for that guy, possibly to step up there. And then your pass rushers, of course, are Von Miller, Bradley Chubb. The question here is, can they stay healthy? That's kind of the question. Inside linebacker spot, they can get better. A.J. Johnson, listed Alexander Johnson. He's fine. I like his game there on the inside. And then maybe a camp battle between Jewell and Baron Browning. Baron Browning never had like a set role, though, a versatile player. Maybe Justin Sternad could step up as well. He's kind of another one of those. He's very similar to Browning, I'd say. So maybe a little bit of a battle. Corners. Yes, question too. I would think Surtain, Fuller, Callahan to me is a damn good slot guy. I know Darby probably can play there. They paid him to be outside. That's kind of the question. Did they just pay Darby a lot of money, $10 million per year, to be a backup? Because I think I would go Fuller and Surtain on the outside, Callahan slot. They maybe learned their lesson about not having depth last year, and that's why they went overboard here, but who knows? Safety, yeah, Justin Simmons, one of the better single high frees. Kareem Jackson, very good around the box, instinctive. They're set there, even though they add. I like Jamar Johnson. Caden Stearns, I think, is kind of a project guy. Jamar Johnson, I think we're going to see him at safety a bit. Problem is, I like him better at free. He's good when he's, his flashes at strong or when he blitzes. Free, they have Justin Simmons, so it'd be interesting to see how they use him. I do like him, but the cornerback group looks much improved. Holes, maybe quarterback. I mean, to live up to the rest of the roster, Yes, whole at quarterback, because you have this good of a roster. The quarterback is not meeting that, so they currently have a hole at quarterback, I guess. Locke could play better. This team could be damn good because of that, because of the roster. Inside linebacker next to A.J. Johnson could be, could guys step up. Defense line could be better, but I'm not worried about it. It's a really good defense line. It's a really good roster. It's just question at maybe the most important spot in football. I mean, the most important spot in football. Chiefs, they got the best player in football in Patrick Mahomes. They got a very good roster at the same time. They actually could get better at receiver. A lot was on Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. We're just talking about receiver. A lot was on Tyreek Hill, especially in the Super Bowl game. Take him away, make the other guys beat you, and they couldn't really do it. So other guys got to step up. Cornell Powell, pretty big pickup, I guess, in the draft. But they could get better there. They could get better. I think Powell has a pretty good rookie year. Running back group's good. Edwards-Helaire's fine. He's going to step up. Darrell Williams looks pretty solid. They brought in McKinnon as well. So offensive line was beat up in the Super Bowl. And if you kind of go back, if they were fully healthy offensive line, it's a good offensive line. And they actually changed that offensive line, and it actually got better, in my opinion. I guess right tackle could be the question. I think we could actually see Orlando Brown's going to start at left. Tooney's going to start at guard. Camp battle at center. Blythe and Humphrey. I think Duvernay Tardif is going to start at guard. I think we actually see Kyle Long at start at right tackle. Trey Smith could involve himself in a guard battle here. Wiley's been playing. Remmers can play guard. This is a good offensive line. It's very deep as well. And they're good with Travis Kelce at tight end. So I guess the only question here is who will start, but the question mark is they could add another receiver, I guess. They could actually add another receiver. Looking at the defense, I guess they could add another pass rusher. What I think their plan is to go Frank Clark, Derek Nottie, Jaron Reed, and Chris Jones. Chris Jones might play a little more of a defensive end role this year. Jaron Reed's a good ball player too. That's a pretty good defensive line. You're just not going to have a lot of speed out there, but you got presence. You got some pass rush presence, some run stopping presence. That's going to be interesting. They're going to roll at two linebackers mainly. Anthony Hitchens is going to start. And then a camp battle between who they drafted last year, Willie Gay Jr. and Nick Bolton. I'm going to side with Nick Bolton there. Dorian O'Daniel can step in, play. But yeah. Corners. Remember, they do have DeAndre Baker. They traded for Mike Hughes. But I think we'll see. Yeah, they got their depth there. I think I like the way it's listed there. Juan Thornhill, Sorensen. They'll actually play with an extra safety more than an extra corner, but they do have Fenton played a ton last year. He's pretty solid. Again, they have Mike Hughes. DeAndre Baker definitely can make his way in the starting lineup. I knew who was at the cornerback position for them, but actually looking at it, I like it a little more. I like it a little more. It's not a wow. They don't have wow talent out there, but it's a pretty complete roster. I mean, they could use another edge rusher. They could use another receiver. It's a very good roster, obviously. Raiders. A lot on the receivers here. Henry Ruggs got to step up. Brian Edwards got to step up. John Brown has some injury concern. Renfro, you're not going to get wow moments from him. They do have Willie Snead now as well. They got a number of guys, but do they have that takeover guy? A lot is on Darren Waller there, who's one of the better tight ends in football. Offensive line, I'm not really worried about it. I mean, Leatherwood, I did have the concern of him going against kind of the speed rushers of the NFL, so that could be the struggling part, but they've been pretty damn good with developing their offensive line, so I'm not really worried about it too much, even though there were some changes. Running back group looks good. I know people question, did they pay Drake too much for being a backup? Yes, but we're past that point. They got a good running back duo here. Derek Carr, I want to see Derek Carr put a whole season together. Every year, first half of the year, looks like a top 10 quarterback. Second half of the year, definitely not. So I want to see him put a complete season. Starts throwing the ball away a little too much in the back half of the season there. Maybe that's the receiver's fault. Somebody's got to step up there. Defense should be much better, in my opinion. Who will start? I guess that's the question. I think we'll see where will they start. I think we'll see Gus Bradley run more of his Leo defense. Max Crosby being a defensive end and Yannick Ngakoue kind of being that Leo-type player there off the opposite side of the edge. Interior defensive line, I like Quentin Jefferson. I loved him in Seattle a couple years ago. Very versatile. He can play D-end. He can play D-tackle. He can play nose tackle even. He can move around quite a bit. So I think they'll use him quite a bit. Solomon Thomas can do some similar things there. I like, actually, Solomon Thomas a bigger name. I like Jefferson a little more. They like Hankins in there, of course. Cleveland Farrell ends up being some pretty good rotation. Defensive line's looking a lot better. Linebackers, I think we'll see Corey Littleton and Kwiatkowski out there a lot. We'll also see Morrow a bit. He'll come off the field on obvious passing downs. And then we'll see them have more of a slot guy. I've been talking so long that I'm going to lose my voice. I think this is pretty right on here with the safeties. Abram and Mareg. Mareg can play slot, can play strong, can play free, and their hopes are free. Corners, I think, will be Hayward and Mullen. And then we have a battle for the slot position, perhaps, or box safety. We could see a number of guys there. I mean, they drafted quite a bit of, Divine Diablo. He's going to play kind of a weak side role, but kind of can play that box safety, obvious passing down. So they can give a number of different looks with that specific position. So the defense is looking a lot better. Will there kind of be growing pains, though? So the question here is, will they finally get enough pressure on the quarterback? Are the young corners okay? Will they be able to step up? And then will the receiver step up there? I guess it's a question. How will Alex Leatherwood be at the right tackle position? Chargers, Justin Herbert, see how he is in the sophomore year. Will there be a sophomore slump here? New coaching staff, too, some adjustments. Will he continue where he left off? Looked fantastic last year. Like the running back group, I guess they don't have that pure every down runner. When you got a guy like Austin Eckler, you don't really need that because you got to have Austin Eckler in there quite a bit as well. Like the receiver unit, Josh Palmer will help stretch the field out. Deep ball guy, Keenan Allen, do it all guy. Johnson, Guyton were kind of sneaky guys stepping up last year. And then you look at the offensive line, and they made the offensive line better. It's all about Brian Bulaga staying healthy. Filer will start at guard. Yeah, I like what they got there. That's probably be the starting guys. But they like Brennan Ames there. They bring him into they got him listed at guard. I think he'll back up Bulaga. I think that's a good right tackle insurance guy there. They'd get worse at tight end, but they do add Jared Cook. Trey Kitty could be a sneaky option. I like this offense. The offensive line could have some struggles. I like Slater at left tackle. They could have some growing pains, sure, but I like this offense. It should be an explosive offense. I think a lot rides on. We know what it rides on here. I think it rides on, guys like this right here, Joe Lombardi, because they got Staley in to coach defense. It's going to ride on the offense, the new offensive coaching staff. That's what it's going to be. Defense, it's going to be interesting to see how they run this defense. They got it listed more as a 4-3. You might have to go back to the notes for this one because Brandon Staley runs a 3-4. So I think they're going to run, we can kind of go back to, we'll see if I can fill out as I go here, and then we'll pop it up. I think, I think they're going to go Bosa as more of a 3. If they run that 3-4, which Brandon Staley's been running, Bosa, and then the nose tackle, you got, and I'll have this pop up in a second here. Big Goon, Linval Joseph. I typed in Goon, so if everybody knows who that is. Big Goon is Linval Joseph. And then I think I like Tillery in this defense. They could go Justin Jones, though. Linebackers, so they're pass rushers or their outside linebackers. And that's where it's a little tough. I'm good with Nwosu there rushing the passer off the edge, off from the outside linebacker position. Inside linebacker, I like Murray in Brandon Staley's scheme. I think they'll use him off the edge actually at times. They'll blitz him for sure. And then will it be Tranquil? It's got to stay healthy. And we might see Fackrell starting here. Yeah. Kaiser White, didn't have him. He could win the job over Tranquil. That'd be a camp battle. And then CB will be Chris Harris, does he play in the slot? Does he play outside? That's kind of the question there. But I think we'll mainly see Chris Harris and Samuel Jr. And then the safeties will be obviously Derwin James, strong safety. And Nasir Adderley's, hopefully he can step up. They do have Alohi Gilman. I view him more as a strong guy, though. Okay. That's what I got here. Probably should just put Joseph. Yeah, I think they're going to give more of a 3-4 look like I was just talking about. That's what Staley runs, 3-4 defense. So this is your D-line. This Tillery could be it could be Justin Jones as well. That's definitely a possibility. And then these outside linebackers can be the pass rushers. So that's where they're kind of weak right there. I don't see Bosa. I mean, if they could run a 4-3, but I don't see Bosa playing outside linebacker here. This could be White or Tranquil. Murray's going to start here. Murray had some reps at Oklahoma rushing the edge and blitzing a lot. So I think this is good for Murray in this defense. I like it a lot. Chris Harris and Asante Samuel Jr. Michael Davis could play outside or the slot. Chris Harris could play outside the slot. Derwin James, Nasir Adderley. Derwin James being the strong safety, Nasir Adderley being the free there. So that's what I got for the Chargers defense. A lot of expectations on the defense because Brandon Staley, you got some big names. You got Bosa. I think Murray's going to be a big name. I mean, the secondary is full of the big names here. But the question is the edge rush position. It's good that you're getting pressure from here. Bosa, potentially Tillery, Murray on the blitz. So that's going to help out these outside linebackers. I think they'll miss Melvin Ingram though. He hasn't really been healthy anyways. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what the Chargers roll with there. Those are my thoughts on the rosters and the depth chart. So, interesting video. Thought, why not? Let's do this. I just did not think it was going to take this long just through AFC. So, the NFC one would probably be tomorrow if you're listening to the day it was recorded on the 17th. Yeah, that's going to wrap this up. Those are just my thoughts on the AFC roster / depth charts. We'll do it for the NFC, of course. Follow our Twitter for updates. And make sure you subscribe. Smash that like button. That'd be much appreciated. That's going to do it for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.